I made regular trips to Houston by then for the Offshore Technology Conference and, well, to catch up with the colleagues in that company's Houston office. Mm-hmm. Met an American girl, fell in love straight away.
Hi and welcome to this episode of Omega 365 sit-down sessions. In this series, we talk to team members across the world to hear more about what is going on in their business. And today we are lucky to talk to Shane Butt. He is Vice President in Omega 365 USA. Welcome, Shane. Welcome to Ullensvåg.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yeah. It's been a while since you've been in Ullensvåg.
I think just over 10 years would have been the last trip here.
Yeah.
And a lot's changed.
Yeah, what are the biggest changes?
Biggest changes I can spot, obviously, is the size of the office. Mm-hmm. I mean, my guess is it's probably tripled since I was here.
But Shane, for those of us who don't know you that well, mm-hmm. When did you start in Omega?
Okay,
where did it?
So I was fortunate. I was working for another Norwegian software company prior to Omega. Mm-hmm.
But you're, just to get things clear, you're from Australia, right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Half of my childhood was in Houston, Texas. Half was in Perth, Australia. So anyway, then I went back to Australia, finished college, got into IT, and then ended up working for a Norwegian company that was headquartered in Kristiansund.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And Roger Anderson, the CEO, mm-hmm. reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're thinking of expanding globally. Do you want to run an office in Australia for us?" I said, "Sure, love to." I had nothing else planned at the time. 2010, I'd become the CEO of that company. Mm-hmm. And the venture capitalists behind that company wanted to sell it. So all of a sudden, we were getting queries from different companies around the world. And then Omega, out of the blue, came and said, "Hey, we'd like to talk to you." So they didn't want to close any of the offices. Mm. They wanted to incorporate everybody. Nobody lost their job, mm-hmm. which is rare in an acquisition. And so all of a sudden I went from working for a company of 30 people to, I think Omega at the time was about 750. That was the start of my Omega career. So
yeah, and the start of our Kristiansund office then.
Yes, yeah. Kristiansund office, the Perth office. So I stayed on in Perth initially as the general manager, mm-hmm. the head of that company. I made regular trips to Houston for the Offshore Technology Conference and, well, to catch up with the colleagues in that company's Houston office. Mm-hmm. Met an American girl, fell in love straight away. And
that's the story of why you're now living in
effectively,
in
yes. So I came up to Ullensvåg in the middle of 2012, met Petter and said I'd like to relocate to Houston. He made it happen.
How big is the team in USA now?
So on total it's just under 100. Mm-hmm. In the software side of things, in the Pims Omega 365 side, we're about 35 at the moment. You've
been pretty busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We picked up a huge contract with Chevron about 3 years ago, about the time COVID hit. And that's certainly our biggest client out of the US, one of our biggest clients globally. Could
you tell us a bit about how big of a scope the project was for Chevron originally and how it developed?
Yeah, we might need to expand this from an hour to 2. They were already a client using Pims completion. That started in 2017. And then in 2020, they awarded us a contract for what they called IPIMS, Integrated Project Information Management System. And it consisted of about 6 Pims products plus completion. So that was the original plan, roll it out to their major capital projects, integrate everything, much more so than we had done anywhere else in Omega with Pims. and then sort of hold on and see where it takes us. And we had, in the first year, the question was, how much were the projects going to embrace this change? Because they had existing tools, but they were sort of siloed. So they had one tool for this, one tool for that, and they were trying to replace that with one product suite, Pims. And nobody really likes change, in my experience. Okay, yes, hey, the tool may be better, but it's still change. But in the space of 3 months, we went from how do we encourage enough projects to want to take up Pims, to how do we control the project's desires to take on Pims. So that was very rewarding.
That's amazing. And could you talk a bit about your relationship with the client?
Yeah, they've, you know, Omega loves to partner with clients, as distinct from being client vendor. You know, they embraced partnering the same as us. You know, and they had to, because we were doing Teams calls at 3 a.m., at 11 p.m. Everybody around the world was having to jump in. It was a match made in heaven. That sounds corny, but it was a bit like that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us in this sit-down session.
My pleasure.